this is Chris Markin, and I wanted to give you a brief introduction in working non-destructively in Photoshop to improve an image's overall appearance. When I reference non-destructive working in Photoshop, the main thing is to not permanently affect the information that is embedded in the file. The images, when they come out of your camera, are going to be a JPEG the vast majority of the time, unless you have your camera on a RAW file format setting. I will not be covering RAW file formats in this brief demo. The first thing you're going to notice when you open up your image is that it has a JPEG labeling right at the top of the screen. From here, you're going to want to go up to File and select Save As. The majority of the time when you want to work non-destructively, you want to pick a file format such as a TIFF file that is a non-compressed file format and will not damage or round down the information that is embedded in your file. JPEG is a compressed file format that is not ideal for retaining all information in an image. Once you have selected TIFF, you're going to want to immediately save this image as a TIFF. Under this screen here, you're going to notice that there's image compression, which you would like none of. If you do compress your file, it will not be permanently saved and will possibly deteriorate the quality over time. You're also going to want to select the bit order in which you are working on, whether that is an IBM PC or a Macintosh. I am currently working on a Macintosh, so we'll select that bit order. From here, you want to assess what it is in your image that you would like to improve. When looking at this image of mountains, you will notice that the sky in the region that I am moving my mouse around in currently is very, very overexposed. You will also notice a lack of contrast throughout the hills and valleys in this mountain, as well as the green saturation, or the color in which the green is being represented, is rather muted in certain areas. If you look, you will notice that there are shadows in the bottom left-hand corner, or the darker portions of the image, as well as highlights that you can see up in the sky for the majority of the part, as well as some of the snow on the peaks, and this portion that I'm currently circling of the trees in the mountain. Your first step to working non-destructively is to create an adjustment layer. An adjustment layer is a layer of information that sits on top of the image, so to speak. This does not affect the overall information that is embedded in the image, however, will adjust your image to a proper level of high-end photography. The first step is to come over and select the adjustment layer icon directly here. It is a circle that is half black and half white. Under here, you will see a large menu pop up of different adjustments that you can do. My recommendation is always start with level adjustments and start with curves. Under curves, you have the ability to adjust the midtones, highlights, and shadows independently from each other to create the desired effect on what you would like your image to appear. You will notice that in the curves menu, there is a graph with a straight line running diagonally. There are two bars, one of which is dark to light and dark to light. That is your shadow to highlight detail. The simplest way to use curves is to start by making 3 points, one in the middle, one in the upper right quadrant, and one in the lower left quadrant. This gives you a range to work within, as well as gives you ability to adjust your highlights, midtones, and shadows independently from one another. Your first step is to work on the midtones. Bring it one way or the other, and you can see the adjustments that it is making. The midtones in this image are not too bad, so I will just adjust it to a little bit brighter by moving it to the upper left quadrant. The next step is you're going to want to work on the shadows. Click on the dot that you have created and begin to drag down to increase the contrast in your image. You can see that you can take it far one way or the other way, and the effects that it will make. This would be too far, and that would be too far the other way. Right around here is where your desired effect is. For the highlights, you want to be able to see part of the sky. You will click on the dot in the upper right-hand corner, and you will drag it until desired effect is reached. As you can see, clouds are starting to form, and that is a sign that you're moving in the correct direction. From here, you can now notice that this image is looking a great deal better. If you would like to ever see what it looks like with the adjustment layer off, you need to come down to the little image of the eyeball on the curved layer adjustment. If you click on this eyeball, the adjustment will disappear, and click on it again, it will reappear. This will show you the steps that you have taken and allow you to notice the changes that you have made. Your next step in adjusting in a non-destructive fashion will be come down to select another adjustment layer on the circle that is half black, half white. Click, scroll down the menu, and you're going to go to Color Balance.
What's that?
Color Balance is a way of correcting any color issues or the color issues that you have in your image. What you can do here is you see that you have a cyan and red bar, a green and magenta bar, a yellow and blue bar. The vast majority of all images, visually speaking, are made up of red, green, and blue feeds, with cyan, magenta, and yellow being their exact opposite in the color spectrum. Starting out, you're going to want to move the slider to one way or the other until you see the colors balancing out for these two particular colors. Too far to the right will give a red cast, too far to the left will give a cyan cast in this particular bar. It's important to move it back and forth and watch the image as it changes. Where it was sitting for before at 0, you will notice that there is a little bit of a red tint, so I'll bring that down to cyan. The color adjustment may be represented differently per screen due to a variation in color spectrums from screen to screen. Just take that into account as I am color adjusting. It may look slightly off on your computer. The next step would be to look at the greens and the magenta. It's a tricky image because of all the trees. Though it may not appear to have a green cast, it does. You're going to want to add some magenta, but not too much. In this case, a very small adjustment is needed. The last is blue and yellow. Again, not too much, just a small adjustment to achieve the desired result. Your next level adjustment to help with the overall quality of this image will be to work on the hue and saturation. Do the exact same thing as I just did by selecting the adjustment layer and go to hue saturation. Here, we would like to increase the saturation of mostly the green colors to improve the overall quality of the image. You start by coming to where it says master and come down just to the greens. If we are interested in the entire saturation of the color in the image, we would select just the master, or you have the ability to select each individual color feed. Once selected green, use the slider bar on the saturation level to start increasing the saturation. This is too far, and then you can start to bring it down and almost turn it into a very desaturated color. We're looking just for an extra punch. So we will take the green from here to about here for desired result. You also have the ability to adjust the lightness and darkness of these greens as well, which can be helpful in this image to create even more contrast. These are the simple steps to creating a better image in a non-destructive fashion. As you can see, we have used 3 different adjustment layers to take the image from here. We did curves, color balance, and then a hue and saturation. All of these were done in layer adjustments and will not cause a deterioration of the information embedded in the file. At this point, you will need to save your file in a TIFF format, which you already have done, but resave it to ensure its safety. Including the layer size will increase the file format, as the window says, but that is not an issue. You want the largest file possible to ensure all information is always kept in the image. Press OK, and you are done. Now your image looks way better than it did before and has retained all the information that it had to start with, so that the quality will never suffer through more and more work that you would like to do to it. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that this tutorial was effective for you.